Well, I'm Senator Chris Smith. I represent District 29, which encompasses parts of Broward and Palm Beach County. In reference to where my district is located, it's basically the I-95 corridor starting in central Broward County, going north of Riviera Beach and Palm Beach, up and down I-95 to the left and right of it is pretty much my district. Well, I'm a lawyer by trade, and I started my public service on the Planning and Zoning Board in Fort Lauderdale. After being involved in a lot of organizations, community organizations, I was appointed to the Planning and Zoning Board in Fort Lauderdale, which was a quasi-judicial post, and we had to really make a lot of decisions regarding growth and development. And in a city like Fort Lauderdale, it was pretty intense sometimes. And so I then brought that experience to Tallahassee and served in the House from 1998 to 2006. And even in my last 2 years, I served as minority leader in the House of Representatives. And after my 2 year hiatus, I came back to the Florida Senate in 2008. Well, my committee assignments are criminal justice. I'm very involved in the Banking and Insurance Committee, in which I sit as vice chair. Utilities and telecommunications, I also sit as vice chair, and I'm very active in that committee. Those are, in essence, the committees that I'm most active in. I also serve on TED, Transportation and Economic Development, and Criminal Justice Appropriations, as well as the Calendar Committee. But I do, most of my energies are spent in banking and insurance and criminal justice. That's the toughest thing about this year is the budget. When you come in and you're about $3 to $3.5 billion in the hole, and you know that Florida has a lot of critical needs. There are a lot of things that need to be done in the state, and a lot of people are hurting. And so, to try and craft a budget and come up with ways to make sure that we take care of those that need it the most, make sure that we take care of the healthcare area, take care of those medically needy people, take care of the elderly, keeping their essential services that the state has helped provide for. In education, making sure that we don't fall back even further. In education, we've been cutting funding through the years and playing with the numbers to decrease funding, but I think we're down at the bare bones. So I'm hearing from both school boards in Broward and Palm Beach County that, they've cut to the bone, now we're about to get to marrow. And also in the budget, making sure that we keep state services, i.e. state employees. Every agency that provides services, from the driver's license bureau to state troopers. I mean, everyone has been cutting back through the years, and now they're at bare bones. And so as we continue to cut and we look to areas like that, I mean, those are services that Floridians enjoy and that help Floridians through their day-to-day life. And so we have to find ways to make sure we fund just those essential services for the next 2 years, when I think the economy will start turning around. I think Florida will lead the nation getting new funding as the economy turns. But just over these next 2 years, I mean, just really keep those core services there. Senate Bill 146 is an attempt, as the governor has started the mantra and has really been touting jobs, 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 getting people back to work. 146 is an attempt to get everybody back to work. What I found out through campaigning and through my years in service are people that have made mistakes in the past, people that are committed felonies in the past. Well, they're barred from certain licenses to get back to work, i.e. if someone got into a fight when they were 18, or maybe even sold marijuana or possessed marijuana at the age of 21. Well, they get a felony conviction, and later in life, if they don't have their rights restored, they can't get certain licenses, like a barber's license, cosmetology license, certain licenses it takes to work. So what this bill does, it decouples those two things. You don't need your rights restored, which is a long process that has been made longer this year by the cabinet. You don't need your rights restored in order to apply for certain licenses, and you're not barred from work with the state because of a prior felony. Now, we do have a lot of provisions in there, and common sense provisions. You don't want someone with a past felony of molestation being able to work around kids, or someone with a history of violence, being put in a position of law enforcement. But we have so many Floridians that have made prior discretions at a young age, or now it follows them for the rest of life. They're hard to get jobs now. 1402 is along the same lines as 146. That bill helps people get things off their past that has happened years ago. Right now, under Florida law, it doesn't deal with felonies. If you have a misdemeanor, and some of the drug possessions and things of such are misdemeanors, it follows you in your record for years. What this does, it gives you a second expunging of those misdemeanors that you haven't been found guilty of. And the classic example is someone caught with marijuana, and they plead no contest and adjudication withheld. This allows them to take that off their record after a certain amount of time so that their record can remain clear. And the one important thing, it doesn't deal with felonies, but misdemeanors that are stopping people from being able to move on with their life and get jobs. The tone of the session has changed dramatically. I think we started off working together, but now you truly see the chamber's different philosophies are really starting to come about. The House is a little more radical philosophy, and the Senate is now morphing back to what the Senate has always been, the more deliberative body. So a lot of the issues that are coming from the House, we're really looking at them closely in the Senate, be it dealing with unions, be it dealing with the courts, be it dealing with a lot of the hot button issues of the day. I'm really glad to see that the Senate has slowed down a lot of stuff and have started being more deliberative, and we're coming up with a lot of good compromises on a lot of the gun bills. We saw a couple of days ago some good compromises and some good language put on in the Senate, where coming out of the House, it was much more partisan and very partisan votes. In the Senate, you can look at a lot of those issues and you'll see, different coalitions coalescing around different issues because we're being more deliberative and really doing the things that the Senate has always been, in some minds notoriously guilty of, but in some minds, the things that make the Senate the special body. We're being deliberative and really looking at issues and coming up with good compromises and solutions. Just looking forward to getting out of here on time and getting home this year. I think coming up with budget solutions and getting some of the major issues that we have to pass out and getting out and getting back home to our districts and to get geared up for next year, because next year is going to be a long year going into reapportionment.